So, Andrew, I do want to kick this off, just kind of letting our audience know, we talked about this before, but you've built multiple successful companies. And I feel like you're one of the few people who you have a methodology to grow the company. And what kind of sparked my thoughts about this is as we were talking in the pre-interview, we were talking about like your SEO, right? It might take you 10 years to get it right the first time, but it only takes you 18 months to get it right the second time because you now know the system. And you decided to break down for us 7 steps to starting and scaling a business. So I'm just going to kind of hand the reins off to you. I'll hop in with a few questions,
Yep.
but I wanted to hear kind of your take on growing a business in under 90 days.
Well, and some of this is stuff that I learned what not to do on because I didn't do these things well enough. And some of these are some of the reasons I was able to survive the failures I made because they are the most important bits if you get these things right. So a lot of this stuff is more philosophical about how you approach the business than it is how to build the business. Because if you don't have any idea for a cool idea or a cool product, I can't give you 7 steps that'll help you, bro. Okay, the first one is, assess the risk. I coach a lot of people on trying to develop their first business. And for a lot of people, they either accept wild, ludicrous risks that would never fly as poker hands, or they're unwilling to accept any risk, which would never fly in the game of poker. So they have to understand going in that you're playing a game that will involve risk. And it's the way you mitigate and manage that risk that's going to determine your success or failure. So in the Army or the military, when we would go on leave, they'd have us fill out these, they called them risk assessments. And you'd actually tell them, this is the highway I'm going to leave on. This is the time. My buddy's going to drive 6 hours. I'm going to drive 6 hours. And all these things went into a formula. And that formula would say, here's your overall risk score for your trip. And if the risk score was too high, you might have to change some of the variables. So you might just say, okay, well, then he's going to drive. Then we're going to stay overnight. We're going to drive a newer vehicle, whatever. Each thing carried its own little bits of fragments of risk. And when you stack that whole plan up, that was your risk score. So, understand the risks well enough that you can mitigate them and you can understand them and you can understand, am I doing a parlay here? Am I asking for 5 things that have a 10% chance of happening to happen in a row in order to be successful? And also it allows you to understand where your risks are manageable and also manage the details of your plan in a way where they present slightly less risk. Understand you're never going to get down to 0, but 56% risk is better than 72%. So assess the risk, know the risk factors, and know how to change the plan slightly to incur less risk. So that's the first one. And embrace the fact that there will be risk. I mean, that's part, without risk, there's no rewards. So the second one is know when to save your money and know when to spend your money. And again, there's 2 polar types of people here. There's people that think, well, I'm a business owner now. I need a nice watch, or I should get a nicer house, or I need a nicer car because I have a business. And then there's people who think, well, this is my money. I wouldn't spend $5,000 on a watch or a purse, so I can't spend it going to a conference. I can't spend it on an expert. I can't spend it on a course. I can't spend it on somebody to handle this thing that I'm not very good at that'll slow me down 4 months and build in the offer, whatever, right? So it's knowing when to save and when to spend. And that line basically is when you find return on investment, spend your damn money. Get it out of your hands and get it back into your business, coming back as more money. But that means that you're not spending money on dates. You're not spending money on a nicer car. You're not spending any of that money because there's no return on that investment. So all the money that's in your hands when you start a business is both yours and the business's. So make sure that every dollar that goes out, you can justify how that $1 was supposed to turn into $3. And don't be afraid to value what a return on an investment would feel like. It's expensive to spend $2,000 to go to a conference. But, my first business 10 years ago was doing well, but it wasn't a national company. It wasn't something I didn't have the ears or the eyes of the right people to make it really big. And I went to a conference and met one person, and I can trace the lineage of all my success back to that conversation. So don't undervalue things that you could buy for your business with money. Whether that's
I hop in
advertising
here
or
and I
otherwise.
want to ask you something here, Andrew. Sorry to interrupt you, but
No, please.
The number one thing that frustrates most entrepreneurs, right, is it's either, oh, I don't have the money, or they're like, I could get it, but I don't know where to spend it. So I want to ask you, particularly with the companies you've done, where was that first big win investment for you that had the best ROI?
Well, the first business was a video business. And so I can actually, it wasn't even a thing. It was a one piece of equipment, and it was a 1.8 fixed focus lens that we shot a friend's jazz thing with. And I had never, for those who are in photography, I never knew what depth of field was, but that's where, you've got one thing in focus and the other thing out of focus. And I can remember sitting outside their business, panning across the bench. Everybody had signed the bench. It was like an artist bench. And as you pan across these signatures, one would be in focus and the one behind it wouldn't. And I thought, what a tool this thing is. And then we went inside. It was a $500 lens. But we went inside and shot this jazz sequence in the pitch black. And that ended up being what our company was, is we were able to film in non-retail locations. We wouldn't need to bring lights and that's what it sort of tipped me off, that if you control low light environments, if you can see my screen now, you'll notice all I've done is taken a white background and I sit in a relatively dark room. You don't actually need a lot of light. You just need directional light. And that lens, that first investment taught me that, is we charged $500 for that jazz show and bought a $500 lens to be able to do it. And it ended up becoming the style, if you will, of our entire business. So invest in things, again, that have return on investment. That opened up a new type of money that we could make. And the lens itself, if I had it for months and wanted to sell it, I could have sold it for $375. So I was really only paying $130 to dabble with the lens. So, if you're looking for where to spend that money in your business, spend it on something that either will be worth money still in a little while, or will instantly give you an opening to a better product, newer product, lower cost of delivery on, if you're making blankets and this new product is going to allow you to make twice as many of them. I mean, back it out in terms of how that investment will affect your business model, and fire when ready.
Yeah, I love that. And I want everybody to notice this, those who are listening to this, is that you didn't start your steps by saying, go build a website, pick your logo, choose your ideal customer, right? Yeah. You're like, let's talk about business strategy, right? Not even the marketing at this point.
And it's funny because I'm the marketer. We were laughing about this. And it's like, if you asked other people to come up with the 7, like they'd come up with 7, and it probably wouldn't be any of these. Right. But I still think these are the most important 7. So the third one is, know what you're building and know your plan to exit that business or that endeavor. So are you building a pool company where you're going to be able to own the equipment and you're not going to have a boss and you're going to easily find 12 clients and you're going to do okay? Or are you building a pool company where you want to get good at sales and you want to have 3 or 4 reps in the field, and you want them to do the business? Or are you building a pool company where you have a new list of services? You spray off the deck every time, you treat it with a new treatment, and it costs totally different pricing strategy than everybody else. And you want to franchise that and now have a corporate office and people all over the place, or are you building a type of business that can be exited? So part of the reason is, are you building a business that you're going to work within, or are you building a company you're going to operate, or are you building a stack of tech and ideas in a company that you're going to sell? And it really changes the way you build the business and the things that are important in that business in the beginning. So no, is this a business that's about not having a boss? Is this a business about me being the boss? Or is this a business about me building a team that can work without me, that then has its own value to an investor or to somebody that might buy the business? Yeah. So start off by knowing, what am I building? And that's when you're going to start to look at your scope. Do I need a website? What things would be involved? What kind of money would I need? And then also, am I building these things because other people have them, or because they're directly contributive to the type of business that I need to build? And it may be that at first you're building a business for yourself, and then you have 3 trucks, and then you invent a new process and need a franchise agreement. So you got to see where that business might go beyond where you first need to take it. We talk a lot about keyholes in our business, which means who the hell knows where we're going in the future, but I can tell you where we're going next. Right. And as long as we pass through that keyhole, we'll evaluate our options on the other side.
Yeah. What's crazy about that too is I've seen this over and over again, especially in the digital space, right? Everybody who starts a digital business is just excited about a product. Oh, I want to make this course. I want to build this agency service or what have you. But nobody ever thinks about that question that you just asked, right? What are you planning?
They don't actually have the arrogance or confidence of the mixture of the two to say, I'm actually building something, like a house. What they're trying to do is build something that's livable. They start off with a tent, and then they build a little kitchen inside the tent because they got to live in it. And it's like, don't build just your money. Don't build your paycheck. And that's why you need to carry that low cost of living when you're building a business. Don't carry any aspirations to pull money out of the business. That's not what the business is there for. You have to love the actual building of it, which is okay. So into the fourth one, and it's a good segue. Understand the relationship between time and money, especially on your part. Because again, people are afraid to spend their own money in their business sometimes, and sometimes they overspend their own time in their business. So understand that if your business is doing well, there's things you do in that business that are making hundreds of dollars an hour. Certain tasks, even if it's just the day you bill everybody. So there's other things you're doing that are $8 an hour jobs, and understand how to put those tasks in different levels so that there's what jobs can only I do, what jobs could a smart person underneath me that I train do, and then what jobs could any idiot do. and make sure that you're assessing all tasks within the business in that way. Once you understand the relationship between time and money, and this is the real hint to number 4 here, you can focus on being good at delegating, which is how to train people with all of your energy and how to hold them accountable with whatever's left of your energy so that you can walk the hell away and trust them to do that part of their job and your job, and walk into another part of your business and train there or build there. Be the one to do something new and then hand that off, or go build a new revenue stream, or go fix something that's broken. But you as the business owner, unless, again, know what type of business you're building. If you're building a job for yourself, do it all. But if you're building a company, and if you ever want anyone to invest, or if you want to sell that company, then you need to constantly not have a job as that CEO, as that founder level person, and trust people to go do that job for you, but be there to hold them accountable. You'll trust but verify, right? So give people enough leash to hang themselves, and then show up before the execution and get them back on their feet. And give them those high stakes and those high risk rewards. Because if you can't get other people to step in and run your business for you, then you don't have a business, you have a job. Then the 5th one is love the product or experience. And this is the one that most people hopefully have started with. If you don't have that down, I can't help you. If you don't love making quilts, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? So make sure you love not just the creation of the product, but the sphere of the product, that you want to be in that universe as you go out and network and learn how to sell it. And that it's a universe you can stand, not just something that you like. My brother built a really successful game. That's what she said. It's a card game. Now he has to deal with game makers for the rest of his life. It's an unintended consequence. You know what I mean? So make sure you love not just the product, but that you love the whole niche that you're getting in and what it's going to take to make you successful there. And then the most important one, the rub, if you will, on number 5, is make sure that your customers love the product as much as you do. You don't have to go big. You don't need a website. You don't need an office. In the last 18 months, we've went from 0 to a $3.5 million company. We still didn't have a website till last week because the product was amazing. And it wasn't just us. It wasn't just us putting our love and our attention. People are going, this is the best product ever. And we'd spend another week still improving it. It was already for sale. I'm not saying don't do the business till it's perfect, but we never stopped improving it. And we never stopped explaining the product in a way that made our clients go, damn, this is good. And I'm going to tell my friends about it. So for many reasons, the customers, that's your trial error right here. So if you need to give away part of your product to get people to try it, if you have a restaurant, I'm going to do a week of free food for people that haven't been there. I'm going to challenge people to consume my product, not just to get them hooked on it, but to allow me to refine it. There's a term called virality. When you have a viral video, like my Mr. Wronghouse video, there's a certain percentage of people, if they share it, that it'll continue to spread like a cold. And then eventually people have seen it a few times, the virality rate drops, the video goes away, right? Make sure your product, people are raving fans of it to the degree that when they try it, they're going to want to try it again. They're going to want to tell somebody about it. If you can get your product that good, the amount of money you spend advertising it, the amount of revenue you have to pump in to get more customers or more scale back out will make a lot more sense than it does if you spend your time pushing a product that you like that other people aren't as a fan of. So make sure you build those systems to explain your product. If something's great about your product, but customers don't ever ask about it, find a way to tell them about it. But make sure that you love the product, that you love the way it looks, that it makes somebody feel a certain way when they consume it or use it. And then make sure that the customers are telling you that is the way it feels to me. I love this. I love this as much as you do. That's when you have a company. And that's when you need to start asking the more serious questions about website and everything else. Don't build a cement infrastructure for an idea that you don't know anyone likes yet.
Yeah.
So the second to last here, number 6, is find your cost of acquisition. This is something that most people do a terrible job of. I talk a lot about how when I was a kid, my mom picked me up from the babysitters. She had a bank job. She's like, I'm done. I don't work at the bank anymore. I have my own business. And I was like, I didn't even know as a kid, how do you get a bit? I thought the government handed them out or something. I didn't know why one guy owned a Walgreens and one guy worked in a Walgreens. And I'm like, so you started a business? This is nuts. And within a week, she had 4 people that paid her to clean her house. She was a cleaning lady. Well, over the years, my mom would gain and lose some of these clients. She'd always find more, but she never realized I'm damn good at finding new clients. I'm actually better at finding new people that want their house cleaned than I am cleaning houses. And there would have never been a time when my mom wouldn't have known whether or not 409 was better than Windex to use on the glass, because that's her business. But no one was ever in her life to tell her, no, your business is finding people that need their home cleaned. Anyone can wash the windows, So for business owners, don't fall so much in love with the product that you forget to fall in love with the business plan, the business model as a whole. again, with cost of acquisition, if you expect to attract an investor, you're going to need to know how much it'll cost to grow the company. And if you can tell somebody, I make $418 every time one of these products sells, but I can find a new person to buy one for $118. Well, now you have a business. And that's why you always hear people talk about scale. Is now the upper limits of your potential with the business is how big you can grow it, how many of them things you can make, how many staff you can find, how many buses you can finance, whatever, right? But you don't actually have a business until you can tell me what it costs you to get the next client. The first 100, it's going to be hard to establish, but so you want to make sure when you do advertise or you do programs that you have a way of following the metrics so that you can find out exactly whether or not your efforts are worth it and how much they are. And one of the things I always like to say is, like, for a lot of people taking our course, they're building these videos right now so that they can go out, find their advertising cost of acquisition. And I tell them, if you go through the course and do this, and you can tell me I'm finding customers for $118 and I'm making $400, I will give you the money. It's like Shark Tank when they give them money to fill the good. You know, if Walmart's ordering 600,000 hats and you just need the money to make the hats, I'm there. Well, that's what you've established when you've figured out what your actual cost of acquisition is. When you can say a new chiropractic, client costs $600, or hey, a new real estate lead costs $180, you can then build a business model off of that. So don't fall so much in love with the product that you forget to understand how much does it cost me to find a new fan of this business, and then how much do I make off of that person? Are they sticking around 3 years? Are they buying more than one product? How much they're buying on their first one? Putting those type of values in a business plan is what allows you to have a business that's actually worth money, that's easy to exit, that you can get the money when you need it to grow it. And it allows you to maybe not be my mom and not have a rag on your shoulder your whole life, but do that for a year or two while you learn what it means to run and own a business and not how to just provide the product. So right. In the service business, your business is your ability to find the next customer. So people need to focus not just on doing that, but how much is that costing me exactly? Because if you know, hey, okay, I can buy $10,000 worth of retail sales for $1,000, then you just got to decide how many retail sales you want to buy and how many can you afford. That's a lot easier business to run. And that's how you see little businesses get big in a hurry.
Right.
Even like the Snuggie, that wasn't a miracle. They played a stupid ad where somebody's wearing a stupid piece of clothing and it looked fun. They got the colors right. And it had that virality rate where if they paid $3,000 to play that in some cold market at 10 a.m. at night, it would make $6,000. And they bought hundreds of thousands of those slots. It's not like the Super Bowl where they wrote a $25 million check and then blew up. They found a little rinse where they could play an ad and their cost of acquisition was $1.18, say, and they made $5 for every Snuggie they sold, and they just kept pumping money in until it stopped working, and they went to a $300 million company. So understand, how much does this new customer cost me and how much do I make when they convert? And it's one of the most valuable metrics you can have on a new business that so many smart, capable business owners I know are completely oblivious to how to answer that question if you ask them. So know your numbers.
Love that.
And
go ahead.
The very, very last one here, I started off doing door-to-door sales. And you learn right away that, your job is not to make somebody say yes, it's to make somebody say no. And that only so many people can say no before you end up bumping into it. Yeah, sure, why not? There were several times during my first company that we sold where we were, almost out of money. We had a ton of employees and not enough customers. And, I left, hit the road. My goal was never to sell every dealer that I talked to. It was to talk to enough dealers that I could hear no 80% of the time and still hit the numbers I needed to hit. So number 7 is get your no's. Follow your law of averages. So many people, when I coach them on how to build their business, I get them to the end of the funnel and they go, what's next? And they want the answer to be, here's how to sell the next 5 people you're talking to. And that's the absolute where, you want to go in going, where's my 20 people who are going to say no thanks? Is it because I talked too long? Is it because the product value should have been at the front of the thing and then the explanation at the back? You can switch your pitch around. Maybe the product design needs to change. Maybe the price is wrong. So it allows you to tailor your pitch to the audience. Again, making sure your customers are loving the experience as much as you are. But it also just allows the universe to do funny things. You're going to find somebody who you walk in there on number 18 that goes, oh, we were just talking about needing a thing like that. You're going to find that luck, that flukiness of the world can actually contribute to your overall success. And it's not always just this thing you did perfectly well. So don't try to cherry pick who your customer should be. Make a list of everyone that should be in business with you and call them all and make them say no. And there's only been a few people who've actually gotten to the end of this and been like, I'm going to do it, and I've never had anybody come back to me and go, here's the first 20 people that said no, and I don't have a business yet. Most of the time, people will get to like number 13, they'll already have 3 clients, and now they got a whole new set of problems in front of them. So when it comes time to monetize the business, whether it's asking your friends and family for an investment to help you grow it, whether it's asking someone for a favor to let you use that office space because you can't afford it, whether it's asking somebody to buy the product or resell the product or whatever, make them tell you no. Ask the questions that would make your business grow and make people tell you no. So those are the 7 for starting a new business. And then if somebody doesn't want to start a business, which is going to be a weird economy in the next 2 years, maybe you don't. I got one bonus tip for you here. And that's if you want to learn how to make as much money as you can without being the owner of a business, find a system. Like imagine a bank robbery, right? You got the stick up guy, you got the money guy, you got the driver guy, the guy watching the door. Find a business that needs 4 or 5 things to happen. And you learn 2 of those things. You learn, and if you know how to sell, then you only need to know 1 other of those things. But learn how to do a little bit of HTML with something like ClickFunnels. Learn how to do a little bit of video editing. Learn how to do copywriting. Learn how to learn a business or know of a business that needs 5 things to go well that you want to be a part of, and you learn how to be an expert at 2 of those things. I've got people in my business. We probably have. There's agencies of our size that have 20 employees. We have 5. And a lot of that is because these people are getting paid more money than they should to do 1 or 2 more jobs. But when you cut out that buffering, I don't have to pay Josh to talk to Josh. Right. I got 2 employees in 1 head here, and you guys agree with each other. It's simpler. So if you want to say, look, I just want to make more money, don't go from trying to be a master at editing to a super hyper Jedi master at editing. Learn a complementary skill to a skill set that you already have. And when you approach somebody who is running that business, you're going to be intimately valuable to them. Not only can I, instead of paying a video guy, and an editor, now you're both in one, you're actually worth more than those 2 are independently. If I'm paying 5 for each, I'd rather pay you 11 to be both those guys and stay late. Right. So if you want to open up those doors, learn a hustle that requires 5 roles and make sure you're the master of 2 of them, and then go find the rest of your bandmates.
See, that's brilliant. I hope everybody was taking notes throughout that, because everything you're saying is resonating with me, and it's honestly one of the best answers I've ever gotten to this question, because you're not talking about the generic things of picking a business, right? It's everybody already has an idea in their mind. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, or you're hopeless.
Right.
Right. There's no point giving you advice. Yeah, you start there.
Yeah, you're not even, if you don't have an idea at this point, you're probably not ready to be in business, right? Because entrepreneurs have like 50 ideas a day of different things they could do. But what I love about your strategy is saying, hey, let's leverage a business strategy and then just build around a framework that works, because you're exactly right with the cost of acquisitions thing. I love it. It's really funny to me, with the different companies we've built, there's a point where when you're on a sales call with somebody and they say to you, how did you know I was literally looking for this yesterday. I want to know about your targeting. How do you do it? And it's like you said, it's a luck of the draw thing, but it's not even luck, because you're putting a bunch of it's the numbers.
Yeah.
Getting to those.
Yeah.
Notes.
When I first started in selling cars, they all stood around and waited on the next customer. And I was like making free car wash business cards and handed them out around town. And I'd call everyone in the classified pay ads and tell them I wanted to buy their car, see if I could get them to bring it in, get them arguing with the desk guys. And the older guys was like, the odds of any of those working are so low. And I was like, yeah, that's why I put out about 40 a day.
Right.
And you could see it on their face. You're like, oh yeah, I guess, if you got a 5% chance of selling a car and you create 20 or 40 of those a day, you're going to sell 2 cars a day.
Right.
And I did.
If only 5 people walk onto the lot, you've got one shot.
Yeah, you're getting your 1/6 of them, and I'm out here working all day, learning things, making friends.
Right.
So yeah, it's exactly that. You don't need a high percentage of success if you've got 50 bobbers in the water.
Right. And I think a lot of people who are listening to this probably understand that, and they're saying, okay, but how do I get those eyeballs? How do I get more people to actually talk to me about my business? And I loved, because you mentioned this before the call, I loved this course you've put together about this, because getting those calls, getting those numbers up is huge. And finding that cost of acquisition, I really feel like your entire process hinges on that. Is like, once you know that cost of acquisition, nothing else matters. I'd throw money at you as well.
I built my first business like, I like this. This is fun. I get a dog and I don't have to leave him at home, and now I'm a business owner. This is crazy, bro. Yeah. And I just did whatever people told me to do. And so I made all these first mistakes. And then on the second and third business, I got to step back and go, and that was even being paid for a year to not work. So I really got the plan. What do I want to do when I hit the ground again? And it changes because now you've done it before. So now you're like, simply doing it wouldn't give me the same jollies. What would I like to do? What would I like to have be different? How would I structure it differently? And, God bless anyone who can take this advice and not make these mistakes for the first time, hit the ground running with the right ideas in their head. You know what I mean? For me, it cost me, $2 or $3 million to come up with this list. But, I did a lot of these things wrong the first
but
time.
It pays out.
Yeah. But I did literally this challenge. I started a business from scratch with $0 in the bank. I had my own personal money, but the business didn't need that to go. And we built it to 35 clients paying $2,000 a month, and on paper we're probably worth $3.5 million now, and we did it in 12 months during a pandemic, with no advertising at all, and a lot of it, to be honest with you, it wasn't even the techniques I'm here telling people to do, because we got the first one right, which is make sure the customers loved the product. We could never see above the dashboard with this business because we kept getting so many referrals that we never had a chance to worry about onboarding. It was always our fifth biggest problem. You know what I mean? And that was lovely to get it right, because we had all the other stuff in place the right way from the very beginning. We weren't backing into it. It was more intentional this way. And but yeah, this is the the understanding the product, making sure the product's beautiful, making sure the customers love it. If you get that part right, the rest of it you can screw up. But yeah, I definitely did it the way where you just like, hey, somebody's willing to pay me to do this. I'll just, keep doing this for a while, and then you're making more. Like, I guess I'll hire somebody. I definitely backed my way into this. But if you want to build a business, these are the things going through your head, because that decade I burnt, if I went back in time now, I'd rebuild that business in 9 months, So yeah, know what you want to do, know how you'd like to spend your time and spend your life, and make sure you're baking that into the plan as much as just how to get the next dollar.
Yeah. Well, and I know if you're listening to this show at this point, you've already kind of taken care of some of these first steps, right? You maybe skipped over a couple of them, but 99% of you are listening to this show because you're saying, how do I get to my cost of acquisition? So Andrew has an amazing course. You should all go check it out. And he's giving it away for free to you guys. Free. It's a course. Okay. Most people are charging thousands of dollars for this. So
yeah, I'm one of them.
Me too.
But so the one thing that I'm not that doesn't come for free is the coaching. If you guys reach out to me, there'll be ways here. You'll find them in the funnel. I have no problem coaching somebody. I just can't promise it to everybody and then not have any hours left next month. But it's an entire course on exactly how to use nothing more than your cell phone, and how to create eye-level messages to be used either on social media or as ads, or in the funnel stuff like email responses. There's a million places that we talk about in the course where you can literally build your business through these little touch point videos that are meant to hit people at the right time with very short, succinct messaging. So we go through a little bit about lighting and framing and how to hold the phone. We have a very special grip that kind of makes you the tripod. That makes so you don't have to worry about carrying anything around on you. We focus a lot on scripting, how to create simple 3x scripts that motivate people, and then how to create videos with a purpose that aren't just you making a video, but going, hell, wow, there's this slot here in my business. I need a video for this slot. How do I get the video I need? So we kind of turn it more into a scavenger hunt and show people this thing. And for a lot of people, there's no real reason why they don't do videos other than that they're not sure the juice is worth the squeeze. Our original video business, we sold tons of videos to people. They didn't know where to do with them. So they loved us. They loved buying from us. But I always felt like I was wasting their money because their videos, they just put them on a YouTube channel and wait. So if you want to know exactly how to build a business that you can go out and use, make content that'll get you organic reach, organic audience, but eventually make content that is designed to create a sales process, a sales funnel. Some videos that are designed to get people's attention, some videos that are designed to talk about the product specifically and what other customers think. And then another layer that's meant to go, okay, let's do business today. Let's do this. There's a reason to do business with us today. So we build these, we show people how to build these funnels that aren't just advertising, but it's actually as much as 80% focused on the remarketing. So once you trip over one of our ads, you're in there, baby. I'm going to be talking to you for the next 2 weeks. Buckle up, and it's really a cool process that it replicates a sales process much closer to anything else. And it does that magical thing, which is allow you to say, I put in $2,000. I got 55 clients out of that. I make about, $400 or $200 or $80 on each client. And boom, here's my business. Here's the margins. Here's the content. And the unique thing is it gives you all the data you need to know which videos you're making that are working the best and how to rearrange them. So it's a very simple formula. It's just people who go out and use digital advertising, they normally play an ad and they wait for that ad to convert. And that's not it, right? It's like there's a conversational element that if you build that in, you can keep people, warm people who aren't ready to buy, but are prospects of yours. You can keep them close enough to your brand that you can kind of nurture them and turn them into clients. So if people want to download that, it's littlevideosbigresults.com/Titan. And I can't guarantee you that there's going to be, get there early, get there right now as you hear this. And at least the first 50 will be totally free. It's $1,000 course, and you'll have all the downloads, all the worksheets. And if you want, the help to go through with them, it's not part of this offer, but just text me and I'm sure I will be able to find someone to help you walk through exactly how to pick which videos are the right ones for your business and sort of show you how to use the worksheets that we have. Make sure you're dialed in.
Love that. So the URL is littlevideosbigresults.com/Titan. Make sure you guys go check that out. Be one of the first 50 because like you said, he might take the offer down. So get up there and get it done. And
I got to figure out if I can make it take itself down at number 51. Otherwise, you'll probably be able to do it.
So get in there quick. So Andrew, just to kind of wrap this interview up, could you give us one final parting piece of guidance?
Yeah. We have a clothing brand, this little goofy guy on it right here. And our slogan is jump in. And our motto is jump first, land later. And, for a lot of these people, if you think about the metaphor, you stood there at a jumping into a pool or something, and it's terrifying. I was a paratrooper. It's terrifying. And then once you leave, you're just in a fight till you land. So jump first, land later. Make sure you've specced out what the situation is and you've run your numbers and you know your business and you know what your goals are. Make sure you wrote those goals down. But at the end of the day, you don't need a plan to have a reason to jump. You don't need a plan for how to land to have a reason to jump. So jump in, find your landing all along the way, and make a plan, work the plan.